Roxanne. Hello, and welcome to another amazing empowerment night. It is night 2 of Summer Empowerment 2024. Uh, Yesterday kicked off with such a fun time. We had me and our board member Autumn. We joined forces, did a little double team here for some disability history and some advocacy. Tonight we're kind of moving forward into some psychology and talking about some change, which if you guys know me, I'm really excited for. Tomorrow is actually my favorite night of the week. It is our first time of having live painting. So if you guys have not signed up for it or done anything like this before, please take the time after this to sign up. Gina's fantastic. And we tried doing this a couple years ago and our presenter actually got sick, fell through. We never moved forward with the whole painting thing. So this is something we've been trying to pull together for a while, which is great. Thursday, we're going to be chatting about paracycling. And then Friday, I'll be co-hosting again with a lovely woman named Kim. And we're going to talk about moving out of state with a disability. So a really great week. Lindsay said she loves Gina. Gina's amazing. If you haven't followed her yet on social media, you can look her up. It's at Oops, I Broke My Neck. Her content's ridiculously funny, very educational, and you can learn a lot from her. So that'll be tomorrow. But we're reeling it back in. We're getting excited. We're gonna bring it back to tonight. Tonight, I have a wonderful presenter with me. Her name is Kerry Jean. I actually been following her online for a long time because her content is equally as funny. So if you don't follow her, make sure you go and give her a follow after tonight. She speaks a lot about really fun disability related content and a lot of educational fun stuff with a little humor twist. And tonight she's going to talk about the psychology of change, letting go of the old, embracing some new stuff. I'm really excited to learn more about her background, what kind of led her to share what she's sharing and to see what she has to say. So thank you guys all for coming and making it tonight. Thank you, Kerry, for presenting. And without further ado, I'm going to pass it on to her. And like I said, guys, for Wi-Fi purposes, I'm going to keep my camera off, but I will be managing the chat. So thank you guys. And Kerry, you're welcome to take over.
Perfect. I love that. I've worked remote for like 7 years and I am now panicking at sharing the screen. Oh wait, can I not share I have a PowerPoint. Am I able to share?
Yeah, let me fix. I was just, when you
No.
said, I was like, oh, can share.
Otherwise, it's going to be a real impromptu situation, which is fine as well. We can just get deep together about habits.
Try again.
Okay, amazing. Yes.
And then I'm going to pin you.
Okay,
Perfect.
gorgeous. Gorgeous. All right. Yeah, so habit change. If you follow me online, this is truly nothing that I talk about at all, which we love. I am a certified athletic trainer for the past 10 years of my life, and I am a certified health and wellness coach for the last 6-7 years of my life. So I worked one-on-one with patients, with people, to typically it's around weight loss, but habit change encompasses absolutely everything in our lives. So my biggest thing is helping people feel empowered and feel to build their own self-efficacy to grow and be the version of themselves that they want. So letting go of a lot and accepting it a lot. So that's kind of how we got here. I didn't know what I wanted to talk about today, but this is something I think all of us struggle with on a daily basis, trying to do something new and let go of things that maybe aren't serving us. Forgive me if I'm looking back and forth. I have 2 screens and only one has a camera, but I'm trying to see faces as well, or at least names to make myself feel more connected. Okay, so yeah, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. I know this is for wheelchair users, so it loses a little bit, but I think we're gonna give him a pass because it was, in like BC time that this was said. But the foundation of absolutely everything is that first step, is that one move. And that's where we're going to kind of take this today. But we're going to dive into habit change a little bit. I would love participation if people are feeling up to it, mainly because habit change is so specific and there's so many things where if people are having certain things they're wanting to discuss or habits that they've been struggling with, I would love to kind of break them apart together if you guys were all open for it. All right. So let's talk about habits. This is going to be the most wordy of the ones, but habits is everything. So the most simplest version of a habit is you brushing your teeth, one simple thing, and a more complex one is the full routine of a day, right? How you start, how you and then you perform, often without conscious thought. Our brains are so advanced that they pretty much just want to do whatever is the absolute least. They do not want to work hard. They want us to forget about it and just put it into auto drive. And that's how we create our habits, which is very cool from a neurological stance, but also really scary if you've ever driven somewhere and you forgot how you got there. Like, that's terrifying. We're just like not even thinking about it. So this is our daily building blocks, shaping our routines, influencing our decisions, and then determining, our well-being. Our brains don't know. Can I move this? Oh, I can move this. There we go. Our brains don't know good and bad habits. So they just know that it is a habit. They just know that this is the thing we're doing often and we're going to keep building it. They're not able to decipher whether or not that's something we should be doing. It's just if we are doing it. So if it is a more detrimental habit, this kind of like, we go down. And if it's a more positive habit, we kind of go up. So with that, you just don't realize how a lot of these small changes really affect the rest of our life. A very small version of the butterfly effect, where you have this tiny little wing that flutters and it causes, as they say, a tsunami across the world. But that one movement that you do on a regular basis, that is going to set you up or for success or potentially the other way, depending on what it is. So when we understand where habit chains come from and what our brain is doing, we're able to kind of hack it and build up new habits or redirect some of those habits and break down the ones that aren't serving us the way we want them to. And again, this is just really, really hard. So that is the biggest thing when I work with clients is we're so hard on ourselves and we are just like, why can't I do this? Why is it not going amazing? And that's because it's really hard. We spend our whole lives building these habits, all of our lives. So to think that we are going to break down a single habit in a day, in a week, in a month, even in a year, depending what it is a little bit silly because it's just really hard. Our brain doesn't want to change the habits. We resist change. We want that easy flow. We want those things that we don't have to think about. And so it's just really hard. But we're going to learn some hacks today to kind of make it a little bit easier. So that's the biggest thing. Stop being so hard on yourself because it's hard. All right. What is a habit loop? So this is a habit. So there's a cue, which is a trigger or a signal that initiates the habit. It can be internal or it can be external. Again, it can be positive, it can be negative. So our thoughts and emotion or time, people, places. And then we have the routine, and this is the actual behavior. This is the habit itself. And then we have the reward, the outcome or benefit received after completing it, which is gonna reinforce the habit and keep it moving. So one example for this one is cue. We wake up and we're feeling tired. So then with our routine, we start drinking coffee, and then our reward is we're more alert and we're like, that feels good. So then we're going to keep doing that every time. And for me, like, there's a million versions of this. Again, you hear your phone go off, and so you check your phone, and then your best friend texted you and you're like, that feels great. And so now you are much more conditioned to check your phone really often. Have you guys all heard of the habit loop before? Have you guys, are people like really well in tuned? Yeah. Amazing. Oh, hold up. We're not quite there yet. But yes, and then so just that second reminder of the fact that we can't separate positive for negative. So this habit loop is forming all the time, regardless of if it's something that is serving us or something that is not. Perfect. All right. And let's talk about dopamine. So this is in our brain. I'm sure you all have heard of it. It's the happy neuroreceptor, the reward chemical. So dopamine gets released when something is a rewarding outcome, something that we want again. So it makes us want to redo it. And I've been singing this all morning, but like, give me more, give me more, give me literally all day. Because that's how I kept myself going. But that is what dopamine does. So, and then when we anticipate dopamine and we think we're going to get the reward, that motivates us to kind of seek it out and do it again. So it gives us that immediate feedback of satisfaction. So I would love to know if there's any habits right now that you all have that you get this like immediate sense of satisfaction of yes, of give me that.
When I do work out and do that, I feel it. It doesn't always get me to keep working out. But when I do it, like I do feel it. Like I feel the good energy and I don't regret it when I do it. So it's always a good thing. It's just
Yeah,
getting me to always be consistent with it,
Yeah,
definitely.
if that
same.
makes sense.
Who else added? Someone else.
No, I said that the same after working out. I think the dopamine feels great every time you do it.
Mhm.
I agree with
Yeah.
Tanya.
Exercise is such an interesting one because I think I would actually put that on it hits both sides because you have the immediate response of the dopamine of feeling better, feeling just more alive, more energy, things like that. But the actual results that come from working out are latent and they come later in terms of like weight loss, increased strength.
Yeah,
So you don't actually get
exactly.
that like immediate sense of like what I did rewards me for what I did, you know? But so that's a good example because you actually hit both sides of it. You have the immediate, and then you also have the later. I know I talked about my phone going off. That's like a good one. Any other ones that people are like, oh yeah, that's something that I definitely, it doesn't have to be a positive one. Can definitely be, doesn't have to be a positive one. It can be something that you're like,
So for me, it would be my morning cup of coffee. So my wife gets up, gets ready, starts getting ready for work. I get up, make my coffee. I'm able to take my coffee back to the room and kind of just sit with her and talk to her as she's getting ready for work.
that's nice. That sounds like a lovely habit. You get some downtime with your wife while you enjoy your coffee and get prepared mentally for the day. I think that's a really positive habit to have. I think that's great. All right, dopamine.
Nicole mentioned shopping. That's definitely one too.
Oh yeah, I cannot see the chat. So if there are things in the chat, please yell at me. I can't see it. So
I said shopping, because like that, like especially if you find something like really cool, like that gives you like, and for me, sometimes chocolate does it, but I hate it because it never lasts long enough. And so you're like, why did I do that? The side effects of this are going to be so much longer than the dopamine hit I got off of it. And so those would be two of the bad ones. And then one of the good ones is when I improve like on something, like, you know, when I find myself getting better at something, doing something that I didn't think I could do, you know, whether it's, you know, working out at something in therapy or making something, then, you know, that does it too.
yes, I am definitely an add to cart person too. I definitely, yeah, me and Amazon, if I'm in a bad, that is that immediate dopamine. I had a bad day. Again, the trigger can be positive or negative, or I'm going to speak for my roommate, her glass of wine in the evening when she,
I was gonna
You
say
also
wine
get
too.
you also get the delayed with Amazon when you forget what you ordered and then it shows up the next day. And you're like, oh, look, a package.
that will keep you
Yeah.
coming back for more. Yes, if you forgot you ordered something.
I also love that.
Not that
or
that's happened.
get it, and then sometimes when you return it, you also get it then because you got the dopamine off of ordering it, and then you get the dopamine off of getting your money back when you figure out that
Good one. Good point. Yes.
That's a good one. Yeah.
That's that free money. That's that free money we talk about, that girl math. I am
I like it.
So good.
okay. So the
I
next
like
slide.
that.
Oh yeah. Go ahead, Linz.
Oh, I was just gonna say, honestly, like getting likes on Instagram, it's kind of like an embarrassing one, but it's like definitely one that I've been like, oh yeah, like I noticed a little dopamine hit. So just saying, there's another one. I don't know if that's good or bad, but it just is what it is.
It's
That's
real.
how they make all the social media websites addicting, is because they give you that quick dopamine hit half the time. That's
Yep.
what they design them to do.
That's why they keep you coming. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, this is like just a slight side note, but that's like the person who created who has like perfected the chip, and like they literally chemically, the outside of like a chip is like chemically formulated to release all of like the dopamine and have your brain respond with just like floods of dopamine. And so like, how do you even combat that when you
know.
eat it, it's like creating what your brain wants?
Seriously, it's messing with us. Oh my gosh.
Okay.
Yeah, bro, we live with it.
Don't come out there with that bullshit or you gonna get popped like a willy, you heard?
10K, 20K, 30K, 40K.
Okay.
Hey, y'all wanna be
I don't have power.
in Brooklyn. Y'all wanna be, make sure y'all pop like
I feel like I'm being trolled. Thank you.
Yeah, what is going on? What is
It's
that?
okay.
Yeah, I was like, I thought it was me. I thought it was like, what?
I thought it was part
I
of your
got you.
presentation. I was like, what is happening right now?
Yeah.
I'm like, all right.
Close.
Apologies, guys. I don't know what that was, but they wouldn't stop, so I just kicked them on out. So sorry, go ahead and continue on.
That's okay. We love a troll. We love a troll. I thought we stopped doing that during the pandemic.
First time for everything. That has not happened yet. So, I mean, I guess it was bound to happen eventually. So, I guess Kerry's the winner of this prize.
That's what we love. Okay. So next up, we're going to talk about overcoming habit barriers. So this is before we talk about the things that have been shown to how we build new habits and like what that entails. Let's talk about the things that kind of keep us from building those habits. So if I can get a little bit more interaction, what are your biggest struggles when it comes to creating a new habit? What do you run into? What is your roadblock? What is that wall that kind of keeps you from, it can be specific. Like if you're like, I was really like, if exercise is on your brain, like what is keeping you from exercise or reading more? Like what habits do you guys, what blocks do you get?
Actively making the time to schedule it in. Finding the time in the schedule to put that block.
Scheduling.
I analyze things too much, and analysis paralysis is what they call it.
Oh
Analysis
God, I do
paralysis
that
is a real
too.
thing.
I'm horrible about that. But for me, it's also pain and like lack of sleep and stuff like that. So sometimes like I'll really want to work out, but I'll know this particular workout causes pain. And so I'll be like, well, I'm already in pain, so let me avoid it.
I think for mine is like results, because I think I have that mindset where I want to see results right away, even though I know realistically, but not only sometimes, quite a few times I get very impatient, and then I give up, but then I start it again. Like I start my habits a million times. And I think even Brandon knows, we talked about that before in Zoom. Like I have it all written out. I have the plan. I want to see improvement, but then I don't see the results right away. And then I get frustrated.
That's so common. That is such a common one. I think for me, it's that doing everything all at once. It's like, okay, this week I'm going to start. And it's like, that means meal prepping, 7 days a week of exercise, reading 30 minutes a day. Like it's literally everything that I want to tackle. And I'm like, it's just a list. Like, of course I can do all of this at one time. And then I flame out
All the
immediately.
things.
Yeah.
Yep. All the things all together.
That's what I was about to say. Or as fast as you start to get one habit going and you think you've got it at 7 days, you're like, oh, I did that. Let me just keep taking on more and more and more until you're just so overwhelmed with stuff. And then you start to fall off on the stuff that you'd already started working on.
Yes. So good. Have you guys all heard that, like, that it takes about 21 days for a habit to form?
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys think that's accurate? I can see like 3 heads, but of the 3 heads I can see. Yeah, it's not. I mean, it's a generalization, but a habit can take, for it to be ingrained in your brain, can take anywhere from 19 days to 385. It really depends on the habit and what you're trying to achieve. So a lot of times we add stuff too quickly, and that's such a good reminder. But okay. Perfect. So let's kind of review these, and then I kind of want to see if we could dive into one of those specifically as a group and just like break it down. But so let's talk about some of the ways to overcome these hangups. So first up is identifying the root cause. So when we understand what is actually going on or the reason, it's super important. And I mean like the real reason. So many of us are like, oh, you know, we do like that fake reason where it's like, oh, it's yeah, I don't have time, or I was really busy, or whatever. And it's what we're telling ourselves, not actually what's going on. So identifying what's actually happening that's having us hit that wall is so important. And then, yeah, setting realistic expectations. So progress takes time. And like we talked about, we want to do everything, and we really want to like conquer this goal. But when it's a big goal, like we'll use, like I said, I come from like weight loss. So when we were like, I want to lose 100 pounds altogether, and I want to lose 100 pounds in 3 months, that might not be realistic, right? That just might not be healthy, might not be realistic. So we got to break some of these things down. Or even like, I want to read every day for 2 hours. That's really big. That's big. So we gotta decrease a little bit here. Building self-efficacy. So self-efficacy is just your ability to believe in yourself. And this is something that we all, I think so many of us, especially in the health and wellness field, we've just all been brainwashed, right? And we all want to be told what to do. We're like, I just want that little booklet. I want that 10-step thing that's going to get me to my goals. We all want to be told what to do. And then when you're told what to do, it never works. And why doesn't it work? Because a 10-step program that someone else wrote that has nothing to do about your life and they don't even know you is never going to work. Change comes from within. And that's what makes it really hard. We want to be told these things. We want to be told what to do. But when other people tell us what to do, it gives us an excuse to blame them. If I tell you that this is what you need, you are now just going to be like, well, it didn't work out because you told me and this isn't the right option for me. You're right. That sounds correct. When we take accountability for our actions and for our habits, when we believe that it's coming from us, we are much more likely to stick with it. We are much more likely to actually follow through on those habits. And that is where, again, that's why it's hard. And that's why it has to come from within, and us believing that it is on us and that we are capable. Can't do one without the other. And then practicing self-compassion. Like I said before, we're so mean to ourselves. We're just so mean. I've been beating myself up all day about this, and I hadn't even started yet. And I've just been so mean to myself all day about that I didn't do things early enough, I didn't practice enough, and have just been really mean to myself for a solid 6 hours today. So when we look at any sort of habit change and any sort of long-term sustainable change, it's not happening overnight. I always like to tell people, like, they're like, I fell off track. I fell off the wagon. And the reality is there is no track. There is no circular track that you're running. There is nothing, there is no direction. The track is you. It's your life. So if you fall off, that's just, if you swerve to the left, that's the direction you were going. And you just make it work at that point. So allowing ourselves that grace, allowing ourselves that compassion helps us get back on to what we need to do to refocus on those habits and our goals. And last up is managing stress. I know someone said they're just, when you're not making time, that's really hard. But when life is chaotic, when you have a million things to do, it's hard to focus on anything else, right? We need to have our foundation of right? We need housing, and before we can do anything else. So being able to kind of manage that stress is super important to allow our brains to even focus on habit change or doing something different. So if anybody would kind of be willing, I would love to kind of like do a little role play, do some group conversation about one of those habits. Maybe we can break through a barrier as a group. I can pick one that someone said, if someone is like really would like to kind of break down one of the barriers they run into. Anybody?
I'm trying to start a business and so I make jewelry and stuff like that. And I constantly feel like, even though I believe in the product, like I don't believe in myself. I think I'm not like good enough. And then I'm constantly like, oh, you need to have like all this done before you can do that. This has to be perfect before you can start. The photographs have to be right before you can list it, and things like that. You know what I mean? Like, which I know it's counterproductive because so many people have told me, just start and figure it out along the way, because the longer you think about it, the less you're actually getting done. So
that is so true. And I love that you just picked the hardest example ever. I was like, someone having a hard time waking up early. Let's work through that.
We can do that one too.
Yeah, we can.
I don't
But we can do that one as well. I do always love to tell people, though, people say they lose motivation, or they, as you mentioned, that you just have to start, and action often drives motivation. People think they need motivation to get started, and it's often the other way around. That taking that teeny tiny movement forward, whatever that is, that often drives the motivation for that continuous habit building. So whether that's an email, whether that's posting one picture, whether that's you hyping yourself up in the mirror saying, I got this today. I'm not sure what that first little movement is for you, but it actually comes from that action versus feeling like you need to have all of the motivation to kind of get started. Do you have any thoughts on what that action would be?
For me, it would probably be actually photographing the stuff and listing it, because even though I keep thinking I need to make more stuff, and then there's stuff that I wanted to go with the stuff, like, like I do have enough like complete projects that I could probably list, like at least get them photographed and up there, and then I can always modify them later.
Absolutely. I love that. I also love jewelry. Where are you posting? Where is this jewelry being sold?
It's gonna be sold on Etsy. Etsy's the one that scares me the most because I'm intimidated by it. But I sell other stuff on eBay, not stuff I made, but just stuff like I was trying to get rid of and things like that. So I was thinking of doing some on eBay too. So there too, possibly, and maybe even I started the application process for it last year, but I didn't finish it. But Amazon.
Okay. So I circle back to that second one, right? Break those down to smaller steps. Maybe that first one that we got. Is that Etsy? Is that eBay? Is that Amazon?
I was thinking probably eBay or Etsy would be the two I'd start with.
Amazing. Look at that. You're already there. You're pretty much already there. We just need one picture and you're posted. I love it. That's so cool though. Do you say you also have a struggle waking up in the morning to like exercise?
Oh my God. My sleep because I have a lot of pain. I don't sleep well. So I will sleep in bursts of like 3 to 4 hours. I will stay up 24 hours and then I will be exhausted, and like lack of sleep screws with your mood so much on certain days. So yeah. So my sleep schedule is just all messed up, and I'm naturally a night owl, so it's especially hard, especially when I have a lot of early mornings in a row. so like, yeah, so I'm excessively bad about the sleeping part.
I think that's for so many spinal cord people in general, my sleep has never been worse in my entire life than it is right this second. So
Well, and the funny thing is when I actually talk myself into going to bed, like, and I'm like, oh, look, I'm gonna get 5 hours, like not great, but better than like 2, right? And then I lay there and I can't freaking fall asleep. And I'm just like, okay, I tried. Like, and then of course it's running through my brain after about an hour. Hey, I could be up doing all this stuff and not sleeping rather than laying here trying to sleep and not sleeping.
I swear when you plan on going to sleep, that's when like you never get to sleep. And you're like, I'm gonna get like a good night's sleep tonight. Like you don't.
yeah, nope, that's
Okay,
so
I
true.
something related to that, you guys. Like it's I think it would be so helpful because I don't know if y'all relate to this, but the scrolling before bed. I'm like, dude, I know this is a bad habit that I shouldn't do, but I do it anyway every single night. And I'm like, not a long time, but it's just like become a habit that I've been very aware of. And so I'm like, I don't know if anyone else like relates to that at all, but I'm like looking at your the habit barriers and I'm like, okay, identify the root cause. I don't know. Is it like because of the dopamine addiction thing with the phone? I'm like, that's a little scary. And then I'm trying to think about realistic expectations. But anyway, sorry, I'm just like talking out loud, but I love this because actually I took a screenshot of this. This is really helpful, Kerry, to see like these 5 steps. And I'm like, maybe if I first of all, practice self-compassion about like that whole situation, then maybe I could start from there. So I'm kind of going out of order. But anyway, that was just one
Well,
that like
this is
I'm like,
yeah, we actually have another one that we'll talk about building habits. They all go like overcoming the
okay,
barriers and then building, they all go together.
love it.
For the phone in the bedroom, that's a like a huge one with so many people that I've worked with, and we've done lots of leaving the phone outside of the bedroom, setting an alarm. I don't know if you use your screen time. I am like the downtime on the iPhone. So I set
I
that
do
for,
not use that, but yeah, I've heard of that.
yeah, so that turns it off. It like goes to sleep at whatever time. So I'm like a big believer in that. And once that's gone, my phone is to the side. But yeah, there's a lot. I think sometimes it's just like avoiding sleep too, because I'm like, I know it's not gonna go well. And so I'm like, let me just stare at my phone a little longer.
Yes, exactly. Well, so I do like audio. I listen to audiobooks before bed because it's like it helps me go to sleep. But then it's like the phone, you know, so it's like there, and I'm like, ooh, what's this? And so yeah, I think maybe thinking about that habit as well because that really does help me sleep. Just like listening to Harry Potter or something. It's like very soothing, and I already know the story. But yeah. So anyway, that's my whole thing.
Definitely. No, that's such a good one. Every time I'm like, nice, my like health coaching hat goes on. I'm like, God, I have just like 100 more questions. We can dive into that route. Like, I would love to figure it out.
Yeah.
But it will segue us into kind of building some of the habits. So these are kind of like the keys to building those foundational habits. And we can kind of talk through some of these more. I love the specific situations on what we're wanting to build individually or as a group or whatever the case may be, but starting small. So tiny manageable steps that require minimal effort, right? So this reduces the perceived difficulty in our brain, and then it increases our chances of success. Have any of you guys read Tiny Habits? Sorry, again, I see like two faces.
No.
Okay. Tiny Habits is one of my favorite habit books. And this is the entirety of it. When you are wanting to learn or when you're wanting to floss your teeth, you start with a single tooth. When you're wanting to start exercising, you start with 1 minute. These numbers seem so little and they seem so minuscule, right? And like almost non-existent. But the key is when you do 1 tooth, you know you can do this 1 tooth the next day. And then there's some day where you can do 2 teeth and you just keep building on that. But you've already established this such a small amount that it almost doesn't exist. It doesn't take from your energy level. It doesn't take from your brain power because you're doing one little thing. So 1 minute of exercise, one squat seems silly. We're not doing squats. Sorry, guys. I've only been in a chair for 2 years. I still forget. Such a good example. Oh my gosh. One
Go
push.
for a walk all the time. So
Not all of us. Yeah, sorry if there are ambulatory users. You guys might be squatting. I am definitely not squatting. I'm seated in the squat, but doing one push, one thing, it seems small, but that's because you can do it, and then you build and you build from there. I love the book Tiny Habits. It's such a good one, but that's the entire premise is you pretty much have to trick your brain into thinking that it's using zero energy, and then you keep going from there. And then consistency. Consistency is like the largest part of any sort of habit. We need regularity, and that's how it becomes a habit. You do it consistently. The more frequently you engage, the more neural pathways go, the more stronger they become, and then they associate with that habit. So again, when you start small, but you do one tooth for 6 months, you're already doing this flossing for 6 months. And now all of a sudden your whole mouth is being flossed because you're consistently doing the activity. So regularity is honestly the biggest key over anything else. Even if you're not doing an entire exercise program 5 days a week, you're doing some sort of movement. And over time, that becomes part of your brain, that becomes part of your body. And then your brain's not even thinking about it, and you're just doing it automatically. And that's what we're trying to get to, right? We're getting on auto drive. We're getting on that autopilot. We're turning off our brains, and it's just doing it because it's part of us now. Okay, and then environment. Environment is huge. I always like to say, make it obvious. So this environment includes removing things and adding things. So unwanted behaviors, we're going to remove them. And then for behaviors that we want, we're going to cue those ones. So my example for this one, for an environment, is we're going to talk about the snack cabinet, right? So when you leave the really delicious snacks on the cabinet, that's what we're going to go for. And when we put those fruit in the lovely fruit containers at the bottom of the fridge that no one's pulling, the drawers that no one's pulling out, it makes it much harder to go for those options, right? So if our desire is to increase our fruit or our vegetable, we're going to make it obvious. So we're going to put a fruit container, we're going to put a bowl of fruit in the middle of the kitchen, and all of those really delicious snacky snacks, those are going to go in the back of the pantry. Where can I still access them? Yes, because we don't restrict ourselves. But is it take a little bit more effort to get to them than it does to get to the fruit? Absolutely. And so that's where environment is huge, because it cues our brains in the way that we want to move, and then it removes the things so our brains don't even think about the ones that we don't really want to participate in. So make it obvious. And then leveraging social support. We have another 3 that are like bigger ones that we're going to talk about. So anyway, but leveraging social support. We all need connection. It's huge. We now know that having lack of connection actually leads to early death, which is terrifying. But this is where we have accountability. This is where we have our cheerleaders. This is where we have people who get it, right? That's why we're all here today, is because we're leveraging our social support. We're supporting other wheelchair users. We're supporting each other. We're making our lives better by participating. So when you have people on your journey that are going to encourage your habit building, share goals, share progress, share challenges, share motivation, accountability, this is going to help you go farther. When we're by ourselves, we tend to be isolated. And even if you're doing a really good job, it's hard because you don't have people to share that with. And also removing people that are not supporting your goals. And that can be really hard because sometimes it's the people in your own house, right? Like you might be on a health and wellness journey, but your partner, your parent, your child, they might not be, and they might not want to participate, and they might not want to support you doing that because that changes your dynamic or whatever these habits are. So it's not saying, exile your partner from your life, but it is saying when it comes to your journey, when it comes to your goals, when it comes to the things that you're trying to improve on yourself, you don't have to share them with everybody. You share them with the people that are going to light you up and ensure that you are getting closer to them. We're not sharing them with people that are trying to bring us down and trying to hold us back. And that's for all things in life, everyone. Okay. Anybody got a goal or a habit that we could kind of like nitpick and kind of make a little goal here? A big
Trying
goal?
to make a goal to work out more exercise.
Exercise.
Me too.
That's what I
Me
was
too.
saying. Yeah.
Everybody. I think that's everyone under the
Yep.
sun.
I'm
We're all
in there
trying to
too.
move more.
Yep.
Okay, let's do it. Jacob, let's ask a couple questions. You said you're having a hard time with time. Is that right?
Yeah, I tend to live a little of a chaotic lifestyle.
Okay. So thinking of your chaotic lifestyle, where in there do you see exercise fitting?
After work, but where I just sometimes I feel overloaded because like after work it's cook, get ready, get dinner ready, get ready for straighten up the house and that it's just I need to find the time to do that, but I struggle to find the time to do
Okay,
that.
I think I jumped the gun. I'm gonna have you hold this. We're gonna go through the next 3 that are also habit building, some bigger ones that really help with kind of this thing. And then maybe we'll all do this at the end and kind of break through our own goals and kind of work through them together. So thank you. Good brainstorming. I appreciate it. We're gonna go through the next 3 and then we'll circle back and we'll come back to this.
Sure.
Because I think we might have a couple other things that will help with this. Okay. Next up, habit stacking. Have you guys heard of habit stacking before?
Yep.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
And no? Amazing. So a lot of the habit gurus will say habit stacking is the absolute best technique you can use to build a new habit because it is adding on to a habit, a routine you already have. So habit stacking is you're going to identify a current habit you have, and then you stack a habit on top of it. So I mentioned this one earlier, but one example of this is when you brush your teeth in the morning and you're adding in flossing, you're already brushing your teeth. So now you're just anchoring your flossing to it. You already have the routine going, so your brain doesn't have to think about that. So you are automatically picking up this other habit, adding on to it. Currently I am trying to work is not the right word. I hate that my weekends are filled with cleaning. Like I'm so busy during the week and I hate that my weekend is filled with cleaning. So I've been adding in 30 minutes of cleanliness to my end routine. So some days this is washing my clothes, some days this is wiping down my bathroom, but it's just 30 minutes. And some days when I'm not moving fast, it's like one activity gets done. Like sometimes it is very minimal, but it's just the timeline. But the stacking portion of it, I get done with work, I take my dog on a walk, and then I put out a little, like a rag where I hang a rag next to where I put my dog's collar leash when we come back in. So that when I get home, I pick up that rag and I know that that is the next activity that I'm doing. So the dog walking happens every single day. And then when I get in from the dog walk, I grab that rag and I'm like, okay. And the rag might not get used every day, but that is my cue that I have to commit 30 minutes to just improving my location in my home so that I'm less angry on the weekends when I'm spending 6 hours cleaning, because it takes us longer, right? It takes us longer. It's exhausting. I don't want to commit 3 hours during Saturday. I want to commit 20 minutes today, and then I don't have to go near my bathroom with a cleaner for the next few days. So habit stacking. This one is really powerful. Big fan. The next big one is temptation bundling. So this is similar but different. So as we talked about earlier, you have the dopamine that gives immediate kind of love to your brain, that immediate, and then you have the behavior that is a little bit less appealing, but you know is going to have the long-term effects, right? So when it comes to health and wellness, that's what we're talking about with that exercise, where you're not going to see those results immediately, or even like when you're eating healthy, you're not going to see those results immediately. Like no one's like, yeah, I want broccoli because that's really hitting my dopamine, right? Like, no, I want that chocolate cake. So it's something that you don't really want to do, but you should do. And then something that you really want to do, but you shouldn't really do. So again, this is an example I've always used. Isn't the most pertinent to us. I'm sure I can come up with another one, but I used to do this all the time. You watch some of that trashy TV while you walk on the treadmill or you do your cardio, and you get that immediate release of dopamine from the trash TV, and you still did
Perfect.
your cardio activity, right?
Yeah.
Such a good one. I also do this when I clean. So I know Lindsay said she listened to audiobooks. I also listen to audiobooks. Or I call somebody. I put my headphones in and I call a friend or a family member and I talk to them while I'm cleaning. I get that dopamine of catching up with my friends and family, and then my home looks a little bit less icky. So this is also a really good one to combine in when you're building a habit.
I do that when I'm like doing stuff in the kitchen and stuff, like putting dishes away or whatever, is I'll put in like an audiobook or something on TV that I don't necessarily have to watch. And it makes what I'm doing less miserable. And then I can kind of get through it.
That's exactly the goal of temptation building it, making it slightly less miserable. That's exactly right. Oh yeah, I didn't even ask. Did you guys have any other good examples for habit stacking? Anything that you all are doing, or temptation bundling for that matter, that's worked really well for you?
Mine's the same, just like listening to TV shows that kind of like Lindsay was saying with Harry Potter, stuff that I've kind of already watched or already kind of nothing that I have to like focus on, kind of that's fine to just have like in the background, and stuff I can just kind of listen to, but takes my attention a little bit.
Yeah,
that really helps me kind of get my mind off stuff.
such a good one.
I like to listen to I have two different genres of books. I have motivational books that help me build, and I have my leisure books, Harry Potter, Game of Thrones. I break it up, but I like to listen to my more motivational on my work commute, because if I drive to work, I have a 2-hour drive.
Ooh.
And so it's a good amount of time. So I can usually get through my audiobooks, while I'm driving, and I can really kind of get into it, and really just pay attention to where I'm driving, but soaking in the information. And then I've noticed I read books more when I'm doing the audiobook that way. So just that's how I get my mind in.
I have like a similar one. Because my standing frame, we had it in the garage first, and I was like not using it ever because I was just like alone in the garage standing there. So then we moved it into the family room, and so now I can like watch shows with my kids or just do something like that while I'm standing. But it was like such a struggle at first. I really didn't want it in the family room, which is kind of an eyesore. But then I was like, you know what, it's just not gonna get done. So now it's like right in the front and center, but it gets used. So that's one that was helpful for me.
Yeah, that's a great one. Thinking back to I can't remember his name. James, who was having coffee with his wife. Coffee is also one when I walk my dog on Saturdays, I go and I buy myself coffee. When we do like a longer walk, like 2-3 miles, to get a little bit further, but like having that lovely cup of coffee while I do something else always makes me feel better. Such a good one. Okay. Perfect. Let's keep going. One more for this. Visualization is also a super powerful habit change evoker. So we create mental images of our desired outcomes and our actions, and it can enhance our motivation, our focus, our performance. So it's kind of like the little step process. So, and when you combine it with action, you get even more out of it. So I feel like we all know, I don't know if everyone here is wheelchairs or spinal cord injury, but was anyone in the hospital and like when your legs aren't moving and then they're just like, think about it. They're like, just think your leg is moving. And that's all, that's what you have. Like, that's what you got. For me, as a spinal cord injury person, my brain just isn't talking to the rest of my body, or not all of it anyway, because of my back, but that doesn't mean those things aren't still working separately. And so visualization can kind of help close that gap between what we're wanting and that action and the things that are inhibiting us. So, yeah. So when we're talking about the gym and we're talking about exercise and we go there, while we're doing those exercises, while we're doing those movements, that we imagine ourselves in the body that we want, doing the activities that we want, that we're missing out on because of it, can be really strong. Yeah. So these are kind of like the bigger ones. There's lots of like little tips and tricks, but these have been like the bigger habit building, science-backed steps to kind of help create new things. So I'd love to circle back to kind of what I was talking about with Jacob, and I think we all could do this, where I would love for everybody to think of a habit they're wanting to do. Just something, we'll start big. So just something you're wanting to implement, whether that's more exercise, reading more, cutting back on caffeine. I don't know, just everyone take a couple of seconds and just think of something that you are wanting to do. A habit you're wanting to build. Has everyone got one? Okay. So now we're going to go big picture. We're going to think of the thing that is your biggest hindrance to the right now, that wall. So that barrier that is stopping you from kind of getting, we can only take one. So what is that, like the biggest block right this second?
I think for me, it's procrastination, where I just do something instead of that.
I wasn't even going to ask for answers. I was going to have you guys all do this on your own, but thank
Oh.
you. I love that. We love participation at all times. Thank you so much. Procrastination is a big one.
That's a huge one.
I have so many more questions on procrastination because procrastination, but it is something we like to blame for restricting us. Okay, so we got it. We're working with procrastination, and you guys can all work with whatever you're working with individually. So let's break that down to that small first step, right? Let's look at that little itty bitty, teeny tiny step toward that first goal that you're wanting to do. I don't know what the goal was for you, James, since we're working with you now. What was the goal you were thinking about?
My goal is just, I have an exercise arm bike in the garage where I
Okay.
want to get in 30 minutes.
Okay.
And I always think that I want to do it as early as possible, but in reality, like today, I probably didn't do it till like 10:30, 11.
Okay.
And that's because
You did it
I
though.
procrastinated it. I was able to get it done, but I procrastinate, and then would just like to do it earlier.
Interesting. So research actually shows that if you have a set plan, like normally we think plans are like the best, right? So I'm going to go and I'm going to do my arm bike at 7 a.m. 5 days a week. That when you stick to that plan, like that's the best way to do it. Research has actually shown that if you allow yourself flexibility, so you're just say, I'm going to do the arm bike 5 days a week, and you give yourself the flexibility at whatever time of day, you're actually more likely to stick with that than if you have a set time of day. Because it builds in that compassion. It builds in life breaks. But you can still want to work on that. I'm just letting you know, you can give yourself a little bit of break because it sounds like you did your arm bike today. So I think you hit your goal already. And so I think you're already doing really well.
James, I was gonna say, what if you, like when you said you did your lovely coffee mornings, you could like what do you, can you move it, or is it like stuck in the garage? Is it movable?
No, no, it's not movable. It's in the garage. I actually
Oh, okay.
put a TV in the garage so that I could, you
Oh,
know,
okay.
watch TV while I'm in there. But it's
I mean,
still
okay.
with me, it's like, man, why can't I do this earlier? I feel like I'm doing it so late in the day, it's messing my day up.
Mhm.
Okay, well, that's valid. Okay. Any thoughts on what a small little baby change could be?
I think like you said, just saying, okay, my wife leaves for work at 7:30. I should be on the arm bike at 7:45. Why would I not
You
do that?
habit stack that. You anchor that to your wife leaving.
Yeah.
I love
Right.
that.
Because Lindsay was gonna say she put to move it to where your wife is, that you can't move it. Once she leaves, you leave and go do it then.
Right.
Yeah.
And tell her, babe, I'm gonna, right after you leave, I'm gonna go do the arm bike. And she'll be like, yay. Do you want me to, get you set up, or what? You want a little smooch before you go?
She can walk you out to it.
Yeah.
Amazing. Okay, well, now that everyone's lives have been changed and they're leaving here new people, we can wrap this up. Yeah, so mastering your habits, right? So our brains are designed to make life easier, which makes habit change super hard. It took you a lifetime to build these habits, so just know it's not happening overnight. Start small, build momentum, and consistency over everything else, just little by little. Sorry, I didn't really leave time for like questions. This went better than I thought. So. But any questions? Any comments?
Will this be with what Bree sends out with the link and everything? Your presentation?
It can be. I can share it with Bree. I have no problems with that. I do have why did they get weird? I did have a list of books as well, and some podcasts. I don't know why it got off center, but I can fix that before.
Awesome.
But yeah. Anything
Thank
else?
you, Kerry. This was awesome. I think this is so great.
Thank
So
you very
helpful.
much.
Yeah, thank you, Kerry. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yes, I'm just going to echo everyone else and just say thank you again, Kerry, for donating your time and for sharing such an amazing presentation on habits. This is a topic that I'm just a huge fan of. A lot of the books that she mentioned, I have in my bedroom right now. And I, just like Jake, the one that she had mentioned, Tiny Habits, him and I both added those into our Amazon carts while you were speaking. So I'm excited to check that one out too. But I also want to thank everyone else for joining in today. You guys not only invested your time in We With Me Foundation, but you invested time in yourself. Really take what Kerry shared today and kind of just mull it over, think on it, journal on it if you're that kind of person. And try to find one thing that you can expand on, right? 1% better, stack it on something, report back to us, let us know how it goes. I got a lot of aha moments from this, and I'm excited to start stacking and doing all those fun things. So the week is not over yet. We have so much fun going on left. We have painting, paracycling, and moving information. So if any of that kind of stuff interests you, please go ahead and head over to our Instagram and sign up for that. There will also be a link in the post event email. I will send you this recording. I will send you Kerry's presentation once I grab that from her, and a link for the rest of the week's events. So thank you guys so much for coming tonight, and thank you, Kerry, for sharing such amazing information. I am so excited to see how tomorrow goes. So get yourself some water, get a snack, and have a great evening or afternoon.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.